Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. So today is Friday, February 12th, 2021, and up until now I've really only uploaded time-lapse videos. So you guys have probably never heard my voice, even though I've got a ton of video of this project with basically assembling everything that you see in front of you. And I just haven't had the time to edit and upload the videos yet, but I will. But anyway, before I get to all of that, I've had a lot of questions, a lot of comments on the Snowmelt time-lapse videos about the mechanical room. And I've had people asking me, can you show me the setup down there? Can you walk us through how everything works and how it's all connected? And at this point, I just thought it'd be easier to make a quick video like this. I don't know how quick it'll be, but I'll give you guys a rundown. So the system has now been working in operation for about 2 weeks. I first fired it up on January 31st of this year. And as you've seen in the first run time-lapse and the second run time-lapse and a few of the other snowfalls since then, it works great. So I couldn't be happier with the setup. So what I'll do here right now is like I said, I'll do kind of a quick overview of the system, and I'm telling you guys, if you subscribe and hit that bell notification to be notified, I have so many videos of building this from scratch that I will start to put them up in order, but they're probably going to come after this. So, they occurred in the past, but they'll be coming out after this one. So anyway, a lot of people have asked in my videos, what are you using for your power plants? And so these are my two power plants. They are technically, quote, tankless hot water heaters. They are the Takagi TH3 model. They are 199,000 BTUs each. They are easy linked together, so they communicate with each other. They are fully condensing, fully modulating. They modulate from 15,000 all the way up to 400,000 BTUs together when they're working together, which they're always working together. So for me, for this system, I have the ability to just be heating a floor, and I'll get into that. The system not only does the snow melt, it also heats the floors in the house. This is not my primary source of heat. I have a forced air furnace that keeps our house comfortable all winter long. It has for years. This just kind of takes care of the basement floor, the detached garage floor, a bunch of staple up underneath my kitchen, my master bedroom, my second floor master bathroom, and second floor bathroom. I even had loops I added to the shower walls up there, so the bathroom walls are all nice and comfortable. All the tile is warm. So anyway, as far as the heaters are concerned, there's a big debate out there on whether, you should be using boilers or tankless hot water heaters. If you ask the professional guys, you go on the Heating Help or whatever forums, they're going to tell you can't do this. You don't want to use tankless hot water heaters. I don't want to get into the whole debate. I will leave it up to you if you're interested in doing what I did. I also know and have talked to people that have used tankless hot water heaters, this exact model, for 9 years to do exactly what I'm doing with it, or pretty close, and they haven't had any problems. So far for me, these work great. This system right here does basically three big things for me. This handles all of my domestic hot water for the house, and I'll show you how that works. It handles all of the floor warming for the house, the basement, the garage, like I mentioned, and it also handles the snow melt for the driveway, all from these units. So what I'll do is walk you through everything here. It is complicated, and I can do follow-up videos to this. If you guys comment below and ask your questions, I love answering your questions. I'll give you the most detailed answer I can. If it warrants a video, I'll make another video and walk you through exactly what what you're looking for, what you're looking for an answer on. So these two units, they are designed to do this, to work together. This isn't something I came up with. In fact, Takagi will give you a application diagram where they actually show you how to pipe these like this. But if you'll notice, they are piped what's called reverse return. So this is my return coming in, and you'll notice that the return goes into this unit first and this unit second. However, the supply that comes out of this unit first and goes that way, and this unit second. So they recommend that so that each unit gets equal flow. You don't want one unit to get all the flow and the other one not enough. And I will tell you from experience, and you'll see once I start uploading the other videos, these two units get exactly the same amount of flow through them. So trying to think where I should start here. I guess what we can do is start with the cold water line, because I redid everything in this room. So basically, I put an addition on the house about 6 years ago. This house was built in the 20s and originally had all galvanized piping, and over the years I've ripped it all out, replaced it all with PEX, and I installed a ManaBlock home run hot and cold water manifold that runs down to the basement. And for years, for the past, I want to say 13, 14 years, we had a Bosch tankless hot water heater that sat right there where those Snowmelt manifolds are, and it served us fine for all of those years. You know, there were a lot of things we liked about it. There were also a lot of things that we didn't like about it, and I believe I've corrected all those things that we didn't like with this system. So with the Bosch, couple of things that we ran into, and for those of you that don't have tankless units or are thinking about a tankless unit, you know, they're great. You do get endless hot water, but there are some drawbacks. Number one, we found that it took quite a bit of time to get hot water to the rest of the house. So if you're in the second floor bathroom and you turn on the hot water, the Bosch has to sense that flow. It has to ignite, start heating the water, has to purge all the cooled water that's between the tankless hot unit and the fixture, and you know, that can take up to 60-90 seconds while you're waiting for hot water. And what we found is with the kids, they start washing their hands with the hot water and they're done by the time the hot water ever even gets there. So you're basically just wasting fuel with the unit firing, heating water, and the demand is gone by the time, you know, it even gets to the fixture for you to use it. Other things, we found that with the old Bosch, the required flow rate to activate it was so low that certain things like the dishwasher weren't even putting enough flow through it to turn it on. So even though you're connected to the hot water line, it wasn't over the minimum flow, so the dishwasher would never get hot water. So I fixed a lot of those things with this system, and I'll show you here how I did that. So rewind all the way back to 2010, I built a detached garage on the property, and that was my first introduction to radiant heat. I had read an article on, I think, the Garage Journal forum that said, if you're building a structure and pouring a slab, put PEX in the slab. Even if you never use it, the cost to put that tubing in the slab to heat that slab is minimal. It's nothing. Now, the insulation board, the 2 inches of rigid foam insulation that I added under it, that can add up a little bit, but still, I read that article and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I went online, I did some research, I ran 3 loops of 1/2 inch PEX out to the detached garage, and I can throw some a couple of pictures of that up here so you guys can see it. And when we did that, I had the concrete guys that I was working with at the time, we ran a 6-inch PVC pipe from the garage underground and into the basement. Now this basement is fieldstone foundation. Like I said, the house was built in the 20s, but it's all since been spray foamed, closed cell spray foamed over. So it's extremely insulated, it's extremely tight, and that had all been done, you know, years ago. So I have this 6-inch pipe coming through the wall that had these 6 loops coming in from the garage, and it also had hot and cold water PEX lines that went out to the garage as well, because I have hot and cold water in the garage. So for the most part, this 6-inch pipe was empty. It just had these little loops in the bottom of it. Okay, fast forward another year, 2011, the basement floor that was down here was in rough shape. It was just, I guess, what they call like a mud slab. I mean, they didn't really pour a structural 4-inch slab back in the 20s. They basically just poured a little 1/2-inch thick concrete coating over everything in the basement, and that was your floor. So we ended up ripping the whole basement out of this house. We dug it down. We put drain tile in, which all leads to the sump pump. We insulated it with, down here I just used a thin, like an Insultarp type product, because it's below grade and it's already heated anyway with the forced air. So we poured a solid structural 4-inch slab. I put radiant heat in the basement slab as well and ran it back here to this location. Okay, I don't have a boiler. I did not have a boiler. The house is heated with forced air, as I mentioned. So these things sat with air pressure on them for years. I do have natural gas that goes out to the garage, and I have a couple of hanging Resnor unit heaters out there that keep the garage at 58, both stories, all year round. So, you know, the radiant is nice, but the garage was already heated. It wasn't really a necessity. Same with the basement. I mean, it gets a little cold down here, but it's pretty well insulated and it stays fairly warm. So there was no urgency to go and spend a lot of money and fire all this up. So fast forward 2015, we built an addition on the house. I built an addition and I added staple up. So I stapled up 1/2-inch PEX underneath like I mentioned, the whole second floor, master bedroom, master bathroom, second floor bathroom, the shower walls, the kitchen, which is above us, the side entryway. I did the stairs. I did basically everything that I could get to before we, you know, drywalled underneath the second floor. And I ran all of that back to here. So I do have a video, an old video that I can post if I get, you know, comments from you guys that you want to see it, of way back when I did the garage loops came in and the basement loops came in. I bought this manifold back in like 2015 and I installed that and had air pressure on everything, and it stayed that way for years. Then we built the addition. I added in all my staple up and put this manifold in, no copper or anything. Then in 2018, I knew we were going to need a driveway. You'll see, if you haven't seen the time lapse, the very first time lapse that I put up there, the one that's got the most views, I needed a new driveway. The back part was concrete, but the frost had heaved it. It's about 10 years old. It was poured the same year we built the garage in 2010. And it was now pitched to where the water ran towards the house. And in real heavy rains, we'd actually get water down here coming in through some of these walls. And it was not a good thing. So I needed to take that concrete out and redo it. And the rest of the driveway was asphalt that was in horrible shape. When we poured this basement floor, we actually backed the fully loaded cement trucks up the driveway on the asphalt. So you can imagine what they did to it. But that's okay. So, you know, you'll see I have other videos I can post of like during the snowstorms that really explain why I heated the driveway. You know, some of you are probably thinking, why would you do this? And I've got a couple of other great videos that I could post even after this one. Maybe on Monday I can post one of why. But, you know, I decided I'd seen a couple neighbors that had it. I decided I wanted to put Snowmelt in the driveway to help melt the snow, because I just don't have a place to put it. You'll see in these videos that are upcoming, I'm kind of, and if you've seen the other time lapses, I'm on a tight, smaller suburban lot, and I don't have a ton of room to put all of this snow. So, and again, it goes back to that original thought that if you're going to pour a slab, put the PEX in it. Now, it is a lot more involved than just throwing PEX into the slab. Okay, there are a lot of calculations, and I can do a video on those if those of you that are into the geek part of it want to see the math and how I came up with the BTU load and the spacing of the tubing and all of that. There is a science behind it. You can't just go and throw PEX into a slab and expect it to melt. You know, these loops all have to be within a certain length of each other. They have to be a certain size. They have to be spaced a certain distance apart. There's a science behind it. So I can do another video on that. I don't want to, this one's probably going to be long as it is. I don't want to get into all that in this one. But anyway, 2019, I decided I'm going to pour a new driveway. I need a driveway anyway. I'm going to put Snowmelt in it. So I talked to the concrete contractor I used, which was Mark Warsaw with Creek Construction by Design, if you're in Buffalo. And Mark was great. I needed to find a contractor that was going to work with me because, you know, I'm a homeowner. And a lot of these guys they want to come in and get their job done so they can move to the next one. Time is money. They don't really want to take the time to wait for a homeowner and to mess around with a homeowner that doesn't know what he's doing. And I think Mark saw that that wasn't me. He knew that I was going to be fine with this, which I totally was. In fact, I was most of the time, if I'm here and I'm around, I was there helping him pour and do things anyway, even though I hired him to do it. I'm not the type of person that's going to stand around and just watch. So I'll push a wheelbarrow. I'll do whatever. But basically, the agreement I had with Mark was he'll do all the concrete stuff, get it all ready for me, get the insulation board down, get the mesh down, and then I need him to disappear for a couple days. Okay, and let me do the snow melt. And then he'll come back, he'll pour it, we're done. And that's exactly what we did. You can see it in the time lapse. That time lapse that I already have up, the one with the most views, that's at like 3x speed. I actually have each individual day's time lapse at a much slower speed that I can put up for you guys if you want to see it, where you can really, you know, they're probably about 10 minutes long each. You can really see the details as far as what we were doing instead of just flying through the whole thing in 4 minutes for all 5 days, you know? So I'd gladly post those up if there's a desire. But anyway, I did not want to put another hole through my fieldstone foundation, which are very hard to seal, and I did not want to go through the spray foam and wreck that. So I came up with the idea to dig outside and find the existing 6-inch PVC that came from the garage, carefully tap into it with a couple of 4-inch saddle Ys, and then bring all the snow melts in to the basement through that existing pipe. And that's exactly what I did. And you can see that in the time lapse, but I can also post the slower time lapses if you guys want that in more detail. But I brought everything into this room. So the detached garage has radiant in the slab. There are no manifolds out there. There is nothing. If you stood in that garage and it was totally empty, you would never know that there's heat in the slab because it all runs down here. The basement slab runs right here. All the staple up runs here. All the snow melt comes down here. So everything happens right here. Okay, so once I had that in, put it under air pressure, we poured it. I have other videos of that I can upload if I get enough demand and I get enough comments and stuff from you guys, enough likes. So then I decided November, December, that I wanted to start moving forward with a power plant. You know, am I going to buy a boiler? Am I going to go with these tankless units? Am I going to go with an actual tank? A lot of options here, and really it's personal preference. It's whatever you guys want to use. I mean, if you're going to do it yourself, you can do whatever you want to do. So I had quotes from a few different plumbers to do this part of the system, not talking about the driveway or anything. I had quotes 30 grand, 40 grand. I had quotes, I think I had one local company come in and quote me $50,000 to set all this up the way I wanted it. And for me, This was never meant to be a crazy, expensive, need a second mortgage type project. This was supposed to be a fun thing. Hey, let's snow melt the driveway. Let's heat the house, or warm the floors, and let's have fun with it. I did not know how to solder. I had soldered copper, I think, twice in my life before I started this project. And you can see all the copper down here that's been soldered. I soldered every single joint, watching YouTube, learning how to do it, taking my time, figuring it out. Did I have some leaks? Absolutely. And I can show you guys that in the other videos. And did it get frustrating at times? Absolutely. But the money that I saved, I want to say approximately $10,000 into this whole thing down here. And that's because I'm doing a lot more than your typical snow melt. I've had a lot of you ask me, how much does this cost? I mean, if I just wanted to melt the driveway, forget about the radiant stuff, forget about the domestic stuff, I probably could have done this for $5,000 if I just wanted to melt the driveway. I mean, that's the truth of it, but I wanted to do more with it, and the money that I saved in labor, I mean, that $10,000 is no labor because I hired nobody. That's just what you see here. So anyway, through a bunch more research, I decided, I don't need a $5,000 or $6,000 Lochinvar boiler or a Wiesmann boiler. Yeah, are they nice? Yes. And would they have worked? Absolutely. And would they maybe work better than what I have now? I don't know. Maybe. This works great though. But I found people online, heating forums, car wash forums, these car washes where, people go in and spray down your car like a car wash, up here in the Northeast, they have to keep their floors warm all winter. If it's below 32, those car washes have heated floors because they can't have people slipping on the water that comes off the cars, right? I met a handful of people that are using this exact unit to do that in their car washes, and some of them have been running it 8 or 9 years and haven't had a single problem. And they're pushing glycol right through the unit, where I'm not. I have domestic water going through these. So I decided for my system, I wanted to go this route. I picked these units up online. I think tanklessking.com. They were $900 each. I mean, for one, I think Lochinvar 200,000 BTU boiler, I mean, you're looking at $5,000 for one. You want 400,000 BTUs, you need 2 of them. Those 2 units alone are more than what I spent on this whole thing that you see here. So again, to each their own. I'm not going to criticize whatever you want to go, whatever way you want to go. That's fine. For me, this works, and I've been extremely happy with it. It's extremely efficient. Costs me about 50 cents an hour to run the Snowmelt. I mean, they're, like I said, fully modulating, fully condensing. When I first fire this up, which I'll show you in other videos if there's a demand for it, the Snowmelt, on a cold day like it is right now, it's 16 degrees out. If I were to fire this up right now, I'll start getting a return coming back from this driveway at like 23 degrees. And these units are set at 140, and it's trying to heat that glycol up enough to get it to about 100 going out to the driveway. You can actually pull up and watch the BTU demand on these units. I've sat here and watched the BTU load get up as high as like 340,000 BTUs amongst the 2 units at first. But within 30 minutes to an hour, the return temperature coming back from the driveway is already up to 70. And, they're burning basically 180,000 BTUs. I mean, 1 unit. And you'd be fine. So, yeah, that's kind of the whole. Do I need 2? Some of you are probably going to ask, why 2? A lot of people I talked to and a lot of the math I did, some people said, you don't need 2, you can get away with 1. But for me, being that I'm also doing my domestic hot water, I'm also doing some radiant, I wanted the extra one for that extra kick. If the snow melts on and I need hot water for a shower, I didn't want to have to sacrifice one or the other. And mission accomplished. It works. We've had the snow melt on, I believe, last weekend. We all took showers, one right after another. We never run out of hot water. It was just as hot as if it was if the Snowmelt wasn't on. Yes, we were pulling some good BTUs through these when everything was on, but that's why I did it. That's why I went with 2.